Hello, dear fellow gamers. Welcome to this 300 subscribers special episode. Subbed or not, thanks for being here. So you may have noticed I haven't uploaded much lately. My schedule feels pretty demanding these days, and I feel a bit drained. I still play games, but for the moment just for myself, and with no ambition to do challenge runs. However, I did want to do something special for the occasion, and I found something special. I found a puzzle in a video game that actually made me want to grab my pen and paper to figure it out. And it's a puzzle in this interesting and I think very good Metroidvania, Voidwrought. I'm not going to review the game here, but if you generally enjoy the kind of games that I play on this channel, this one might also be for you. Particularly outstanding about this game, I find the exploration and secret hunting, the music and sound design, and also some pretty unique abilities that you get. It does come with a light gore warning though, mainly because of the designs on some of the enemies, bosses and NPCs. But I'll leave that at that. Let's have a look at our puzzle. By the way, my apologies in advance if I use English math jargon wrongly. My first language is Dutch, but I'm going to do my best. So we have some mechanism here with two concentric rings with a disc at the common center that we can each rotate, clockwise or counterclockwise, in steps of 1/6 of a circle. Let's label them ring 1, ring 2, and ring 3, with ring 1 the outer ring, and ring 3 the inner disc. I know a disc is not a ring, but I just like the consistency. And each ring has a little decoration, and some of those are clearly not in the right spot. And we have to fix that, which would be very easy if we could rotate each ring independently. But of course, the entire joke of this puzzle is that we cannot, or at least not in the most straightforward way. But maybe we can find some composite operators with which we actually can move each ring independently. Subtle hint of where this is going. Now, can you solve this by just clicking around a bit on these rings and doing a bit of trial and error? Sure, but then you might do more one-step rotations than strictly necessary. So much work. I want to solve the puzzle with the minimal amount of moves. So before anything else, let's first try to simply describe what happens when we do a one-step rotation clockwise on each of these rings, starting with labeling the positions, of which there are 6. So we'll label these positions with integers modulo 6. Based on these labels, we can now indicate specific spots on the 3 rings. For instance, the decorations that I want to send to position 000 are at the moment at position 313. And of course I mean 3 modulo 6, 1 modulo 6, 3 modulo 6, but the modulo 6 is implied from here on. Lastly, we'll choose an orientation. Let's say that one step clockwise is +1 and one step counterclockwise is -1. Okay, now we have all that we need to define our first operator, which is a one-step rotation clockwise on ring 1. So we will call this operator R1. So let's see what happens when we rotate ring 1 one step clockwise. Clearly, R1 sends a random position triple first to itself, plus the following alteration. One step clockwise on ring 1, because that is the very point of this operator. One step counterclockwise on ring 2. And ring 3 is being left alone. It doesn't move. So the alteration on a random position triple under R1 is 1, -1, 0. Nice. Okay, and now for operator R2. A one-step rotation clockwise on ring 2. That sends ring 1 one step counterclockwise, ring 2 one step clockwise, and ring 3 one step counterclockwise. In other words, the alteration under R2 is -1, 1, -1. And lastly, operator R3 that rotates ring 3 one step clockwise. R3 does nothing with ring 1. It sends ring 2 one step counterclockwise, and obviously it sends ring 3 one step clockwise. So the alteration on any random position triple under R3 is 0, -1, 1. Great! So now we have our basic building blocks. But we want to combine these operators into composite operators. So first we have to know how these operators behave under composition. And it couldn't be more straightforward. The composite operator of 2 one-step rotations sends any position triple to itself plus the sum of the 2 alterations. And from that we can derive some very nice properties. First of all, our operators are indifferent to the order in which they are composed. By the way, feel free to pause the video at any point if you want to check the verifications of these claims that I put on screen. Secondly, they are indifferent to grouping under composition. And thirdly, each of these operators is of order 6. In other words, the composite operator of 6 times the same one-step rotation sends any random position triple to itself without any alteration. These properties will greatly help us to simplify expressions in the very near future. Basically, all we have done so far is reframing the problem in workable terms. It turns out that just by having done that, we've already done 85% of the work. Because from here, finding composite operators that rotate each ring independently will turn out to be the easiest bit. For instance, look at the alterations under R2 and R3. Those cancel out each other on the second and third ring so that there's only one alteration left, namely a one-step counterclockwise on the first ring. Great! So we have already found an operator with which we can rotate ring 1 independently. Let's call it T1, which is the composite operator of R2 and R3. And I now also see our candidate for T2, the operator that rotates ring 2 independently, namely the composite operator of R1 and T1. R1 and T1 cancel out each other's alterations on ring 1. They send ring 2 one-step counterclockwise, and they leave ring 3 alone. So there is our T2. T3 is just as easy to find. Looking at the alterations of R1 and R2, then we see that those cancel out each other's alterations on the first and second ring, and that only a one-step counterclockwise on the third ring is left. So T1, T2, and T3 are our 3 rotation operators with which we can rotate each ring independently. Let's apply our finding to this particular puzzle. If we want to send the ring decorations at position triple 3, 1, 3, 2, 0, 0, 0, then we have to apply T1 3 times, T2 once, and T3 3 times. If we write out the full expression, then we get this monster chain of basic rotations. But using the 3 properties I mentioned earlier, we can greatly simplify this expression. And this is the final result in its most simplified form. 4 times R1, 1 time R2, and 4 times R3, which translates to 4 steps clockwise on ring 1, 1 step clockwise on ring 2, and 4 steps clockwise on ring 3. If we want to do even less actions, we can replace the 4 steps clockwise on ring 1 and 3 with 2 steps counterclockwise on ring 1 and 3. So let's do that. Cue the epic music to make this special because we worked hard for this. worth it. Thank you so much for watching. I hope it was interesting. Take care, you all, and bye-bye.